So, welcome back to
Welcome
our
back.
fifth episode. Yay.
Yay.
So, oh my gosh. Well, thanks for tuning in. And everybody that's downloaded and started sharing, thank
Yeah.
you so much because we're
No.
really trying to grow our
Mm.
podcast. So,
There's a meme, and a lot of people that watch like Hot Ones and things like that might know this reference, but do you know who Paul Rudd is?
I do not.
He's the actor that he's played in a ton. He's in This Is 40.
Oh, yeah, 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 yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
so he
He's funny.
goes so he there's like a they're going through their like the hot ones eating the challenge or whatever, and I don't know, he talks about something. He's like, look at us now," or something like that. And we're on
Well,
our fifth episode.
we are on a fit, and it's been a journey,
It's
like
been a journey.
learning about the mechanics
Okay,
of.
so real quick,
Yeah,
just
you just do because you and we have to give a shout out to Zach, your hubby, my favorite
yes.
child.
Yes. Yes. So first and foremost, shout out to Zach, who is now we're now joking that he's our producer.
Yeah, Zach Leka.
Zach, like my husband. But yeah, so if we remember in the very beginning, I said I didn't want to make this like a whole thing. I did want to make it super easy. I didn't want to put a lot of money
A
into
plug
it.
and play. A
A
plug and
plug and play situation. Yeah, this has not been a plug and play situation. And if I never hear the word aggregate device in my life, I'll be okay.
Yeah, but you know what? I want to shout out. There's a couple of, there's a podcast group on Facebook that
Oh
they
yeah.
actually kind of steered us in the right direction.
Yeah.
So for those of you who are contemplating your own podcast and you just want to have like two people, and you want to record with two microphones and you're using a Mac, yeah, it's not just a plug and play.
I
So
wish it were.
we
So
got this. What is that thing called down there?
a mixer.
A
So if
mixer.
anybody is watching on YouTube, they'll see that we have two brand new mics. You might even be able to tell an audio too, because it might sound a little bit
Yeah,
better.
now I was something because aren't they supposed to light up when they're recording?
Yeah, but I don't know. That's okay.
Okay, all right, just because that was something we did last night. But anyway, so that got it all
Anyways,
worked out. So
yeah, so we're here now, but basically all in all, we had to get two new mics, we had to get a mixer, we had to get like 10,000 cables, we had to aggregate devices, we had to go from PC to Mac, PC, Mac, and now we're here.
now we're
So
here. So we think that we've got it. Well, we're hoping,
let's
right?
let's let's
Keep the
just
fingers
fingers
crossed,
crossed. But
right?
anybody wanting to start up a podcast, I'm not saying that we'll be able to help you out, but we can point you in the right direction
We
because I
can't.
feel like I I
Yeah.
I know a lot
Like
more
the
than I
editing's
thought.
been a lot easier and anyway, yeah. So and hopefully if they think the quality of our podcast now has improved
Let
tremendously.
us know
Yeah, let us know.
if you hear a difference.
Yeah, so
So
okay, well,
anyways,
so Kelsey, what'd you plan for today? Because you are a planner for the topics.
all right. So if you notice, the episode is titled, oops, gotta get it's Mompreneurs Unite, Lessons from Building a Business While Raising Kids. And yeah, that's what we're going to talk about. Just being a
Okay,
mom and being an entrepreneur and kind of, and I know that we'll have like different takes on this because, well, one, mine is two kids, yours was one kid, and
I was
also
single,
you're
single
single,
parent.
but like, well, but also too, like the times as always, and
Yes.
also I think we'll be referring a lot to just nowadays as
Yes,
well.
because a lot of moms are looking for um, that side hustle.
Mm-hmm.
So no matter what side hustle, whether it's real estate investing or
Mm-hmm.
it's,
Affiliate
affiliate
marketing,
marketing, selling
a
candles,
handcraft, yeah.
it doesn't really matter. The organization and the tools and the steps are the same. They're
Mm-hmm.
exactly the same. If
Mm-hmm.
you want to, so you have to plan, organize, market, sell.
Yeah, yeah. All right, so let's kick this off.
All right.
So, all right, I guess what the way that we'll do this is because I've already went to Google, I went to ChatGPT, I asked the questions of, some of these I did come up on my own too, but it's just a miscellaneous of
Okay. All
questions.
right.
So we can each address them and how we feel about them. Sound
Okay,
good?
that sounds good. I
Okay.
like it.
All right. So, first one, what's been the biggest challenge you faced as a mompreneur and how did you overcome it?
So is that to me?
Yeah.
So my journey was a little bit different than yours because I didn't start out as an entrepreneur when you were young.
Yeah.
It kind of evolved because of
Mhm.
my skill set of public speaking, networking, um, blood bank management kind of thing. So mine evolved into being an entrepreneur. Now I've been an entrepreneur for 20 years plus now.
Mhm.
And so some of the biggest lessons are the guilt time because when you go to work for yourself,
Yeah.
it's not like the 8 to 5
Yeah.
because sometimes you do have to work weekends or whatnot.
Mhm.
or you have to work when the kids go to bed. I mean, you can relate to that, right?
Mhm.
So I think uh, kind of bringing your family along,
Mhm.
and I did, at that particular point in time, I was remarried and,
Yeah.
my husband was very supportive and that kind of thing. And I had been thinking about it. I think I always had an entrepreneurial spirit.
Mhm.
And then I don't like to be told what to do.
What
So
was your first well, because I know you said it's a journey. So what was your first entrepreneur step?
I would say that when I was asked to be a consultant to other blood banks, and I quit my job as a director of a blood services company and I traveled,
Mhm.
and that was hard. I mean, I wanted the opportunity, so I had to weigh the opportunity versus, leaving my child,
Mhm.
right? Because you were about in the fourth grade at the time.
Mhm.
Unfortunately, I didn't have to travel. Um, every week, and I would leave like I think I've talked about this before. I leave Monday, Friday, and I had other friends that traveled. So it
Mhm.
wasn't like I had other women friends that had a similar job where they did traveling as part of their real job.
Right.
So, and I think what I learned from that is one, I got to set my own schedule, and that was wonderful. That was wonderful. Um, Two, I was able to command a higher salary or higher
Mhm.
pay rate because I had a skill set that people were willing to pay me for. So that
Yeah.
was a really awesome feeling when you realize that you have something that other people want and you can get paid for it and get paid quite a bit.
Yeah.
That's empowering. It's
Yeah.
very empowering. So,
Mhm. Yeah.
so I would say that that was my first glimpse into working for myself.
Yeah. Yeah, I think back to the original question, what's been the biggest challenge for me personally? It's been trying to figure out like time management. Of
Mhm.
like I try really hard. I'm not successful at all, but I try really hard not to be on my phone in front of the kids. Um, but then like, at one point we were doing social media stuff and like I had to post at a certain time and whatnot, and then I had to create content at a certain time. Or yeah, if I it was really hard. So my 2-year-old boy, he's about to be 3, but he decided to drop his nap, so he's with me all day. Quiet time is a hit or miss. It's like 25% of the time. And so I was with him like, from 7 to 7. And then by the time like 7 o'clock rolls around PM, I was like, well, I just want a minute to myself. I just want to like watch my Love is Blind or whatever show or embroider. I don't want to do work stuff. And so that was my biggest challenge, was just trying to figure out like when to get stuff done. And I had to find like a balance of like, okay, some nights we're going to work on some stuff. Sometimes I actually need to like refill my cup and watch my trash TV and have my
Well, I think
whatever.
too, we had to introduce automation.
Yeah, that
You're
was a
not,
big one. And
mhm.
we'll talk about that a little bit later, but finding the tools to like help you
Yes.
with your challenges, because again, like mine was trying to figure out time management, social stuff. So we'll definitely talk about that. Um okay, how at the time, so you're starting to travel and whatnot,
Mhm.
starting this entrepreneurial, how did you structure your day to balance, or I'm sorry, how did you structure your day to balance family and business?
Okay, so one thing that you have to do is look at what is eating up your time because
Mhm.
we're all just have finite amount of time and we want to still interact with our kids. So I actually learned this a long time ago about looking at all the tasks. Like it's a little exercise you can do. You sit down, it
Mhm.
should take you only 15 minutes, and you write down everything you do: laundry, cooking,
Mhm.
grocery store, cleaning the house, right?
Mhm.
And then you put a dollar amount to that, like how many hours a week or month or whatever, and you put a dollar amount. So I realized so cleaning house for me was like a big like time suck.
Yeah.
And I decided that my time was more, I could do more, I could make more
Mm.
if I hired a housekeeper, right?
Mhm.
So I hired someone. That was kind of one of the very first things I did. So that freed up that time to clean the house.
Yeah.
And then, I wish they didn't have this back in the day, but I wish that there was grocery delivery because I would
Oh
have
my
been
gosh,
using it.
yeah, the
So,
yeah.
well, even just being able to go online and order your things
And just, like, pick it up.
and pick it up. So that's a time saver right there. So
Mhm.
looking at the things that are kind of what I say time sucking you. And then I actually am an early riser, and I think I kind of trained myself. So I would get up an hour earlier than you, for
Mhm.
example, so that I would have an hour that would be either for me or maybe I need to finish something. And I'm a
Yeah,
big list maker. I
yeah.
like to make lists. Um, And I think too, you have to, if you're not organized, you have to cultivate being organized. So I
Yeah.
think that was how I did it.
Mm. Yeah, I would agree. I would think that the biggest difference that I have noticed is my days that I get up earlier than the kids, whether that's to go get a workout in or yeah, like just do some extra stuff or
Mhm.
like do a social media post. It makes a world of a difference because if I already have that knocked out, that's more time giving back to them. Like especially working out, like that's such a huge part of my life. And so as long like if I get my workout done in the morning first thing before they're even waking up, which like it sucks because I'm not a morning person, you know this. We used to get in fights, me waking up. I'm not a morning person. My son unfortunately has gotten that little grumpy morningness from me as well. But yeah, I have noticed like the days that I prioritize me getting up and like getting a workout in or again doing a social media post, I notice like one, I'm happier around the kids because I already have that like checked off your like my list. But then also too, I think there is something about like starting the day and you've like crossed something off your list.
Mhm. And I have another thing about lists. So, I've made lists, like, I make them, like, probably every day, and so I love the idea of crossing things off,
Mhm.
and then if I don't get something done, I don't stress about it. I just add it to the next day's list,
Mhm.
right? So it gives me a sense of accomplishment.
Yeah.
Even if I got maybe there might be 10 things on the list, maybe I only got 1 done, but it was a big one that I've been putting off.
Yeah.
Sometimes I start with the easier one, so it just depends. But it feels good, on those days that you can cross off everything. And it doesn't take that much time. I mean, I taught you how to, at least sort your laundry,
Yeah.
right? So I think
Mhm.
you have to kind of, if you're going to be an entrepreneur mom, that you have to kind of get your kids on board with helping.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And then it teaches them how to. I do have a funny story. I don't know if I should tell it now about housekeeping and you and should I tell it now?
I don't know. Is it gonna make me look bad?
I don't think so.
It better not make me look bad.
I don't think it makes you look bad. It's just that it was a kind of a laxing on my part because I've had a housekeeper for a really long time.
But I remember when you guys decided that you were, and I do remember you telling me it's because, like there's certain things that you can get done
Yes.
if you clean the house. So
Yeah.
I do remember it. It
Yeah.
wasn't like a,
And you still had to clean your room. Yeah.
is
So,
that what you're leading to?
well, I was just going to say then when it came time for you to go to college and you had your own place, and I realized I hadn't really taught you how to clean a house because we'd always had some.
No, because now I feel like I'm like, if you ask Zach or my stepdaughter, I'm probably a little Nazi about cleaning the
Yeah,
house.
yeah, so but you
So,
were also incentivized. So we're getting off topic here. But I think it's important for moms that have a side hustle or they have to, because you can't be the mom 24/7. I
yeah,
mean, yes and no.
yeah,
But you have to get your family to kind of buy into what you're doing. So that
yeah.
kind of goes to the support system.
There's a book called, and some parents might know it, but Hunt, Gather, Parent. I don't know if
Mhm.
you've ever heard of it, but there, I think with all parenting things, you take snippets from here and there, and not saying that I'm 100% for everything in the book, but there's some things about like if you just have your kids help and like it might not be perfect. Like, okay, so Bear picking up a broom versus me picking up a broom and sweeping the rooms is going to be entirely different, but trying not to correct him and just encourage him that he's a part of it and then just like thanking him for being so helpful. And I have
Mhm.
noticed a difference. Like we do try to say like,
And then I mean, he's 3 now, but we keep
yeah,
doing that when he's 8, he's going to be able to sweep
well,
the
and the
house.
other day I created a list, a little chore list for everyone in the house, and we all had our little chores and obviously the kids are not going to clean up their own rooms, but I had Bear, it wasn't like I went to him and was like, "Hey," or like, I went to him and I said, "Hey, like let's go clean your room." And he knew exactly what I was talking about, came upstairs and he picked up like two things.
Yeah.
But the fact that he did that, that's such a
Mhm.
big thing. And then I
It's
think
2 less that you have to pick up.
well, yeah, and one thing that I saw that I really do want to do this on later in life and again take this with what you but this is something that I stand by that I want to do, so I don't know if it's the right thing or the whatever, but um I saw this thing on Instagram a long time ago about having your kids clean their rooms, all right? And so they clean it like one, two, three times, and we know kids cleaning versus adult cleaning is not the same. um so say that third time comes around that their room needs to be cleaned, and like, me, like, I want to like throw away their trash. I want to like, but I'm not going to do it for them every single time. So that third time, so they've cleaned it one time, they've cleaned it twice. Okay, the third time you ask them, instead of them cleaning it and you like pulling hair and fighting about it and whatnot, they read to you while you clean. And so it teaches
Oh,
them to like, one, they're working on their, obviously this is like not right now because Bear doesn't know how to even like recognize a letter, but I think that was really cool because it's not like mom's just cleaning my room just because I'm having to give something back, and like they're working on a skill and spending quality time together and
I
all
like that.
that. And so
Yeah.
I think it's just, so back to like mompreneur, and like I think one of the hard things is being a mom in general, you have a list of things to do. Being a mompreneur, you have a list of things to do. And how do you accomplish all that? And how do you, and this kind of jumps ahead of how we integrate. Well, there goes that that one
That we just have that one. I don't
that one
know.
just will not stay up.
I don't know. I think we're
For
just
those
gonna.
just listening, our little sound piece just fell off the wall. For those watching, you know exactly what just happened. Anyways, but yeah, I just think figuring out ways to incorporate them in your life and how important that is, and you know, your mom life of them helping clean the house, but then also too like, okay, maybe like I don't know, say you're gonna make bracelets, help them sort the beads later on, and just having them involved in some
So
sort
I
of
have
way.
a story about when you were young, and I
Mhm.
hadn't really started my journey, but I had a job and I was a manager of a call center and I had to go in on Saturdays. So
Mhm.
instead of paying for daycare, I used to take you with me. And what I did is I had a desk and I created a like a drawer for
Mhm.
you. So when you came in, you knew that there were papers and crayons and markers and things like that. So you were working. And when you got a little older, you actually made me a picture of
Mhm.
mommy's office.
Mhm.
So do you remember
Mhm.
that? Yeah.
Mhm.
So I think I have two things. One, moms that are going to be entrepreneurs or even working moms or stay at home, if you don't get everything done, that's okay.
Yeah.
So don't beat up on yourself. Some days we just don't get it done and that's okay.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and then two, um, the list doesn't have to be done right now.
Yeah.
You'll always find time. And if you're not great at organization, do lists, do charts, give yourself a tool that helps you move towards being more organized.
Yeah. I have a funny thing about that. So the other day when okay, so for those, a little background story. I like to dabble in a lot of random crafts, hobbies, whatever. So I've like tried to make my own gummy bears. I've tried to make I embroider. Like I want to try and start crocheting or whatever. And I don't know, I can't remember what you said to me, but you're like, Kelsey, you can't really pick one. You're like almost ADD about all these like whatever. And so it's funny that you brought that up because I'm really good about organization. I'm really good about having lists. I'll write out a list. But I don't know if it's because I don't have like one place I go back to for that list. Like I'll write it out on my notepad, but for you, you're at your laptop and you have your list next to you. And like your
Hmm.
laptop always stays in the kitchen. For me, I have like my Mac and I take it for everywhere. And so it's not like I'm have my Mac and then my list right there. So I never actually go back to my list. So I have like almost these like
You have lists all over
never
your
ending
house.
like lists. And I'll like occasionally like I have one and like I utilize my phone too. I utilize notes, but I have like notes of lists in my phone. I have notes or lists throughout my household. If I come across them, I'll cross it off.
You say, oh, look, I found 3 lists today and I'm going to
I
cross
don't
off
think
these
I
things.
have like ADD, but sometimes I wonder if I just can't stay focused on one thing. All right, all right. Moving. Okay, let's go back to kind of jumping into entrepreneur, and we'll both talk about this. But what's one piece of advice you'd give to a mom thinking about starting her own business?
Oh, that's just a loaded question. So I think number
Try to think of
one,
like the top.
you have to find out if there's a need. Like whatever it is that you
Mm,
want to do, is there a need for it? Like you might think it's a really great idea.
yeah.
You want to sell something, but either there's a ton of competition
Mm-hmm.
and not that that's a bad thing, but you have to find out what the need is. So what's the problem and what the thing that you're doing should solve a problem. So what's the problem? What's your solution
Yeah.
and who's your audience?
Yeah. So, okay, I'm gonna counter really quick because
Okay.
yes, I do agree with you, but then there's like the creative part of people that maybe they want to start up their own like crochet business, or they want to, and again, I speak for my own. I've like looked into doing my own embroidery stuff, but there's so much out there. So then what separates you from the other one?
Gotcha.
So like,
Mhm.
yes, doing the need and solution, but say you're wanting to do something more creative. Okay, you want to do your own sourdough baking thing. Well, what's your spin on it? And so I would always try to like say like try to find your asterisk. Like
Yes.
what's okay, your need or solution that you're or what's the need and what's the solution that you're providing, but then also too if it's more creative route, more artistic, whatever it is, then maybe what's your spin on it
Mhm.
that differentiates you from others.
And just to add to that, so I think that no matter if it's creative or whatever you're doing, you
Mhm.
still have to have a plan.
Yeah,
So I
yeah,
go
yeah.
back to like a business plan. Now a lot of people go, like our business plan is like 75 pages. Okay, I'm not saying that you have to do a 75 page. You can do very good, very organized, very detailed on one page.
Right.
One page. Now, if you don't know how to do any of that, then you need to either read a bunch of books,
Yeah.
go search on the internet, get a mentor,
Yep.
right? And
Well, let's just be real. ChatGPT is a huge,
Chat GPT.
I mean,
Mhm.
like, it's free for everyone. Gemini, I think Apple came
Yeah,
out
so
with
you
their
can do
own.
the
So there's so
research
many tools
and
out
it can
there.
spit out a business plan. You give it the right prompt. Like you would say something like, I'm I want to have a business where I sell my embroidered pieces.
Hmm.
I want you to write a uh,
Marketing
business
plan.
plan, a
Yeah.
marketing plan and you can tell it to research the industry.
Yeah.
Like, give me the top 4 people that are having that done because you're going to be competing with like people that have like, the machines and
Yeah.
whatnot. And then the marketing,
Yeah.
and then, what are your startup costs? So it sounds like it's overwhelming, but really, ChatGPT can like whip it out in seconds.
Well, and let me just throw this out there really quick because I feel like there's so the mom group that I'm a part of, they actually had someone come out that talks specifically about AI and like how to utilize it as a mom, utilize it as a business owner, utilize it as planning a trip, whatever it is. So I do feel like not saying that I know a lot about it, but I do know how to like ask the question. So if there is anyone listening and they're like, "Hey, I just don't know how to utilize it," like please reach out because
'Cause just
I've had a
knowing the
couple.
prompts, it's about knowing the prompt, what
Yeah.
to ask it and how to ask it.
Yes.
Like, you can tell I've used it to say, so usually our target group is, moms 25 to 40, but then we also have moms that are 45 and up, right? Because
Mhm.
we have, like, about 3 different audiences. So you can tell it to write to that audience, you can tell it to
Yeah.
write in a certain voice, there's a lot you can do it. Now, it doesn't replace
No, it
your
won't.
imagination or your spin,
Mhm.
but it certainly can help you start devising a plan.
So one thing that the person that came and talked to us about it, she put it very clear was like, AI, no matter what tool you're using, is always a rough draft. Always, always finish with
Mhm.
your own. Like, so say you do have it help you with a business plan. Always don't just, okay, go off of that. Like, read it back through. Is that something that you agree with? Is that something that you is manageable for you? Maybe it's not. And so, like, always going back and finalizing it to your own
Right.
words, your own whatever it is, your own spin, things like that. Like, yes, it is a tool. But always finalizing it in your own
And then
way.
also, there is a little bit more research, but I'm going to give a shout out to SCORE.
Yeah.
It's SCORE. I
Mhm.
forget what all the acronyms stand for. It's a free resource. Usually you can find it through your chamber of any city. It's a nationwide thing. And they have mentors that have worked in marketing, have worked in business development, planning, and it's free.
Yeah.
So I actually have used SCORE in fact, when we launched Money Making Mamas, I used a mentor to kind of help me with the business plan, to kind of a sounding board kind of thing.
Yeah.
And so ChatGPT, mentors.
Well, and then last tool that I'll just briefly mention
Mhm.
that has been a game changer for us too, and going into social media, because like that can be an overwhelming beast in
Yes.
general. And we'll leave all the links and things like that below for these. But it's the social media scheduler that we use, which is
the creative bloom.
Creative bloom. Yeah.
I-
I always want to, for whatever reason, I want to call it like blue flower or something because
Yeah, and
creative bloom.
and there's a lot of them out there. A lot
Hmm.
of different schedulers. So,
Yeah. So we'll leave the link for that below. If anyone is interested, you know, to use it. So yeah. So talking about creative bloom, that was, we kind of jumped ahead, but that was my next question of mine was what tools or resources have been game changers for managing your business? I will say also too, from a mom perspective right now, and you being Nana, like you have been super helpful for the days. Like literally yesterday, I was like, I need you to take the kids like all day. Because it's hard to have like a laptop out or anything because they just want to like clack, clack, clack on it. So if it's available to you, if Nana or, Papa or Aunt or Jimmy or whoever it is
and I
close
should
to
say that I
you.
don't get paid for that. So,
No, but
I
it is,
have that's one skill I have, but I don't get paid for it,
yeah, but
except
it
for the
is.
love of my babies.
It was very helpful having you watch them all day yesterday, so I could do some content stuff. All right. Okay, so can you share a time when your kids inspired a creative idea or solution for your business?
Hmm.
I actually don't know if I can answer this one, truthfully. Actually, I think for me, just and I don't know if this is directly answering the question, but me being able to like be at home with them and not live by this like 8 to 5. I have to, because now COVID, now that it's kind of like it's been what, like 4 or 5 years since it happened, offices are, really being like, hey, okay, it's time to come back in and kind of cracking down on that. And I know a couple of friends that they're going through that, but I think for me, looking around and being with my kids, it motivates me more to like work harder at Money Making Mamas or work harder at, our side business. So that way it has something to be able to give me this time with them. So I don't know if it necessarily gives me a creative idea for the business, but it does make every day I get to spend with them makes me very appreciative for taking that jump and that leap.
Yeah, I would have to say the same as because after I did that one traveling, I didn't really travel much anymore, and I do like the freedom of, if I want to take off the morning and watch my grandchildren, or you and
Mhm.
I want to go grab lunch or something like that. So I think that it's empowering to
Mhm.
work for yourself and to set your own hours.
Yeah.
And really you get to decide the success or failure of your business,
Yeah.
so it's only going to be as good as what you put in. Now, with that being said, I don't think that any one entrepreneur can do it by themselves.
Yeah.
I think they need like a support system, they
Mhm.
need like mentors, they need, networking groups, that kind of thing. So,
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I agree with that because you can't just be on an island by yourself. You have to
mhm.
go put and that's a hard part too is like, and I guess talking about the biggest challenges is putting yourself out there, putting yourself in uncomfortable positions,
Right. I
going to
mean,
networking, this
I
podcast.
was going to say the podcast because you were really kind of hesitant about doing the
I think I was
podcast.
also really hesitant about like putting myself out on social media to like for posts to like really be seen by people as well, but
Mhm.
I guess that's just something that like once you start doing it, it just comes easier. Now I will say now I do and I like always look forward to the podcast. It was just more of like I told you yesterday, the whole set. I mean, I was over here how many times this week just trying to
Yeah.
figure out this stupid mic stuff, aggregate device.
Yeah, aggregate device. And I don't
Um,
know anything about a Mac, so I was no help. So, and I'm not a, I was telling my husband last night, I was like, well, we didn't, because Kelsey wanted me to come over. It's like 10 o'clock. I was like, yeah, no, I can't do it. I'm going to bed. Um, I said, you have two, I mean, because we're very creative, organized, but I don't think tech is our strong suit. So
yeah.
we had to enlist people that knew better. So we actually did go out on Facebook and I researched some other things so we did have other people helping us.
And I will say, okay, so my next question, I want to break this up really quick.
Okay.
So it says, what's your favorite win story as a mompreneur? But really quick, I'm just gonna break it up for us and be like, what's our favorite win of like working together? And y'all, let me tell you, I love you so much, mom. But the amount of questions that you hit with me on a normal day is a lot. But the amount of questions you hit me trying to figure out something, I told Zach I came home. Like, okay, so for context, we're trying to set these stupid mics up. I have like my Mac. I'm like looking up, you know those like tech problems or those problems that you ask and ask and ask and ask and you can never find a definitive answer.
You're talking about on Google.
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah, Google. Like you're just typing in like two mics connected, not
Why doesn't this
working,
work?
blah, blah, like, or like two mano, mic, whatever it is. Like you're asking it 5 million different ways and it's still not giving you the same answer. So my brain is starting to like legitimately, I'm getting like frustrated. I'm overwhelmed. Yeah, it's like hitting me with, I'm reading all of this like stuff about like technology. And so, anyways, so you hit me with like, I don't know, 5 questions. I told Zach, I got home and I was like, there was a moment where, like in movies, the red button that's like, warning, warning, warning. Like, I like legit felt it, like a fever behind my eyes that I legit was like, warning, warning. We need to go. Oh my gosh. So the win of that with working with your mom is like I do feel like we've been through moments, but that was another moment where we made it through.
We made it through
Look at
because
us.
we look at us. So we've so mature, and we are going to have a podcast about just working with your mom and daughter. Because for moms and daughters out there, there's challenges. So,
Yeah,
but
so that was just pretty funny. So
okay. So what was the
anyways,
original question?
so that was I would say that was every time working with your mom, and I feel like again, mother-daughter relationships will understand this, but working with your mom specifically and being able to like get past a solution and like see to the other side, that is a win.
That's a win because we're both
Without
kind
it
of
letting you destroy the business.
because
'Cause
we're yes because
there
we're
was a moment where I was literally like, I'm not doing this podcast. But here we are. Anyways,
okay.
so I think us working together and making it through, I think we've had like, I can recall like 3 big blowouts in this year and some change of starting
In
this.
2024, not 2025, right?
Yeah, like in
Okay.
the past in of Money Makin Mamas history or
Yeah.
whatever, and we've been able to like overcome, like we've been able to come back, communicate really well, which that's a funny story for later on. Um, Communicate really well, come over it, and then like work towards it. And then I will say we haven't gone backwards, which is
Mhm.
nice. Um, yeah, and now we have like great sound quality. But what would you say is your win as a mompreneur?
I would say being a role model
Mm,
to other people that want to take the journey. And
yeah,
my specialty is in real estate investing. And I think another one, just along with that, is being able to teach people,
yeah.
like, being certified by the Texas Association of Realtors, right? And speaking at conferences on real estate investing strategies. So I think that for me, that's kind of that's a good win,
It's
right?
funny.
Being recognized.
Yeah, I would say for me, like, and this is where like our your like journey, like, because you've had a much longer journey than I have, and it's fun to see the different wins. Like, I actually like really admire your win of like being able to teach people good, whereas mine is like starting out is like when you called me and we had that first client. Like, that's super exciting to know that, and like even honestly, even every client is a win because you know that what you're providing is solving something and like hearing the feedback of that. So mine is very in the moment of like, but so that's cool that yours is
Hmm.
teaching people because yeah, you've been successful. I mean, you have been successful for a long time.
Yeah. So
Mm-hmm.
just,
And
yeah.
really put yourself out there.
Yeah. So I think when other people in your industry kind of recognize you, I think that's, it's just a good feeling. I like it. So,
That's awesome. Yeah. I guess mine won't, I don't think that I'll really have an answer for this one, but how, and you kind of talked about it a little bit more, but is there any other, well, actually, I can think about it for me. I probably know your answer, but the question is, how do you involve your family in your entrepreneurial journey, if at all? And I would say for me, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but really making sure I'm in there, like helping the flips
yes.
and going to the properties, or even when you're working for Karen, me kind of going in and doing those. I There was so many times where yes, I would help you go to houses and put lock boxes on by myself, but then there would be also times where you'd like take me and been like, okay, this is what we're looking for, and like this is
Teaching you
this
like
is
move
why
out
you don't.
inspections. Remember? I
Yeah,
used to do
yeah.
move out inspections.
Hmm. So yeah, so I would say that's probably, yeah, I mean, if there's anything else that you want to add to that.
Well, I think no, just from the time that we started, I can still remember you cleaning out that dresser, and because we got a hoarder house, and we were in the garage, and but it was a clean hoarder house. It wasn't, there's clean, and then there's like, okay, just wear gloves and a mask, and you'll be okay. And then painting,
Mm-hmm.
and I can remember you trimming bushes.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you weren't when you were old enough to drive, I think is really when you started helping me in the property
Mm-hmm.
management, so I
Yeah.
think so you've been doing it for almost, I mean, you've been doing real estate investing on the outskirts, like we say, what do we call it?
Mm-hmm.
For
On
as
the
long as I've been,
sidelines.
yeah. So
Yeah.
now you're just an active investor.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. And I will say, like, it is kind of nice to have, because me and Zach, like, whenever we were looking for houses, like it, or even when we were like painting rooms, I have it like instilled in my mind of like, well, what would make this attractive for later on when we try to sell the house? And I think that's been really beneficial, like, trying not to go crazy with a wall color or a paint color, or, you know, if putting the patio up is going to be a good investment or not, and things like that. So I think that that's been very helpful for me, just being a part of the sidelines. And
Hmm.
now, yeah, it's been, yeah. And I think for me, I will say, my kids are young, but I do want to get them involved some way or the other. Whatever that be. Like, I just want them to see, like, even us doing the podcast, like, that was a little stressful too. But them seeing our setup, and, like, when I'm editing like a video, like, Bear will be like, Mama, Nana,
Hmm.
whatever, like, that's Mama and Nana's podcast. Like, so it is cool, like, having him kind of see a little glimpse, but later on I would like them to be involved in some way,
Maybe
whether,
we'll have them on the podcast someday.
oh my gosh,
We'll see
finally
how that,
Simon can
yeah.
communicate. And Bear doesn't randomly roar at the microphone.
Exactly.
Okay. What's one thing you wish someone had told you before you had started your business?
That it's lonely at the top. So
Mm.
when you work for yourself,
Mhm.
I see a lot of my realtor friends, and they work for large brokerages. And
Mhm.
so they're like, oh, they got this award for this, or
Mhm.
they're in this or whatever. And
The
so,
happy hour.
yeah. And so as a solo entrepreneur, you don't get that,
Mhm.
and I have to say, we're refinancing one of our properties. I'm so excited about this. And the gal that's helping the underwriter, she actually sent me an email yesterday, and because I was very Johnny on the spot, Sheila on the spot, whatever, about getting them all the documentation they needed. And the last piece of it was the insurance. And she goes, well, I don't know if anybody's told you lately, but you're just, you're amazing.
Mm.
And I was like, oh, well, thank you. Now, I was amazing because I'm trying to get this
Yeah.
refinance,
Yeah.
but,
Mhm.
and, when I do teach for my association, I get feedback like, it's like, oh, you got a 5 or whatever. I like when we have Google reviews, but I mean,
Right.
as far as like actually getting a trophy, or you
Right.
don't really
That recognition.
that recognition. And so
Mhm.
I feel like now, I mean, after 20 years, I'm finally getting recognition as, a short-term rental expert
Yeah.
or investment strategies or something like that. But I've been doing it behind the scenes for 20 years.
Yeah, and I will say, to go off of that, and this isn't like, we love Zach, we love Pop Pop, but, also too, I think I would be the same exact way. But when there's not like a steady paycheck coming into the household, like when you go from, like, we both came from corporate positions, having benefits, having a steady paycheck, like having time off, like a very set schedule. Like, I know for a fact she's going to be in the office Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, whatever it is. And now, it is kind of hard to manage two toddlers at home, not having a consistent schedule, and then asking Zach, like, hey, I understand you have an 8 to 5, but could you possibly watch the kids? And, like, there has been tiffs here and there. And, like, and it's not because Zach's not supportive, but he has stuff, and, he, first and foremost, from 8 to 5, Monday through Friday, his job kind of comes first, because ultimately that's our steady income for the household. And so it's frustrating when, like, he helps me out, but then someone puts a meeting on his calendar. Like he can't control that and like he wants to help me out, but it's just kind of all over the place. So I will say that's hard. But then also too just from a spouse, because I think this would be the exact same way if it were reversed, but when you have your partner bringing in a steady paycheck and then all of a sudden they don't, and then like you kind of hear like, well, what's your next move? What's the plan? Like there's always kind of this pressure.
Mhm.
That's hard too.
Yeah, because it does, I
But
mean.
then when you do bring in like a decent amount that, one time out of X amount of weeks or whatever, then it's like, oh, good job. So it's hard because, yeah, like you
And then
said,
you
it's
just, because
lonely at the top,
yeah,
but
and it just takes a little time when you're first starting, but then,
hmm
when it starts coming and then you like, so there's a lot that goes behind that whole
yeah.
pricing strategy.
But
So,
again, big shout out to Zach because he helped us with all of this and he's very supportive. He took on the kids. It's Friday afternoon. And then to Brian as well because he took the dogs and also helping out with the kids. So
mhm.
they are very supportive, which I'm very
Yes.
appreciative of. Okay. Last question. Who inspires you as a mompreneur and why? Try not to make it too cheesy. I'm just kidding. You can make it as
So
cheesy as you
I
want.
was very fortunate when I started out in my career, and I had, as a woman, and I'm kind of like just going to talk about like aging,
Mm-hmm.
because a lot of us get hung up on, we're getting older. And, so now I'm talking about when I was in my 30s and when I first went into the workforce, I was so fortunate to have women bosses that were older than I was. So
Mm,
they taught me the grace of
mm,
growing older, right?
yeah.
And so age is just a number, right? And if you put all of your success on how you look,
Yeah.
um, it's going to be hard for you when you get older, right? So, what was the question? I think I kind of faltered off because it was about, oh, who inspired you? So, the
Yeah.
women who inspired me were my bosses that were older than I was. And so they kind of like forged the path, if you
Mm,
will.
mhm.
So, I think the real life women forged my path. Now, there's been some women that I've followed, career women.
Mhm.
Um, one of them, her name is escaping me. She was a famous reporter. She was uh, tragically lost her life when she was only like 36. I want to say it was Jessica or something like that. And I used to read her book. So I read a lot of
Mhm.
autobiographies of successful women.
Yeah, that's good. I would say mine is cheesy. And I would say at the end of the day, like the kids, again, having that time with them, like it inspires me to like just kind of work harder and be able to provide for them,
Mm-hmm.
but then also for me to be around with them. And I would say you as well, because you've kind of carved the path for me of like I can do this, and it is easier when you see like a person of yours and to help you along the way of, like even tax season is coming up and I have no idea how to file as like, a small business owner, but I know you're going to be able to help me with that. And so like those steps, it is inspiring because it helps me take the steps because I know that like you're not going to let me fail because ultimately if I fail, you fail. But then also too, you're my mom, you're going to tell me how it is even if it makes me mad, whatever it is. So I think that it is inspiring because you have paved the path for so long and then the kids as well. Like I want to be able like traveling is a huge part of me and I want to take them overseas. I want to take them to Europe. I want to take them like to go see the world because there's so much out there. And so I think that lifestyle inspires me as well
Mm-hmm. All
to
right.
be successful.
Well, thank you for the kind words. I appreciate it. I think
You're
that's a good
welcome.
note.
Yeah. So okay, I don't want to end here because remember
Okay.
we always do the fast fire
Oh, okay.
questions.
All right. Here we go. Here we
And
go.
I actually don't have any written down, so I think that I'm just gonna try and come up with some on my own. If you think of
Okay.
any, you have to ask too.
Okay. I
But I
have
do
one.
have one.
All right.
Okay, ready? Beach or mountains and why?
I got to say beach
Mm,
because I don't like the cold.
mm.
But the mountains are pretty to look at. So if I could go to a beach where the mountains were in the background, that would be perfect.
I would say mountains because I don't like sand. Do you remember when you wanted me to have a destination wedding on the beach? That is not me. I'm like the fairest person ever. I'll step out in the sun and get
Okay,
sunburned.
so I did think of one.
Okay, what?
Roses or carnations?
Okay, dumb question, but carnations are just normal flowers? What are, are carnations just like,
They are, but they can be so many more colors than a rose.
okay, I almost have to look up what a carnation looks like. It's gonna make me look really.
Okay, for our viewers and listeners out there,
Carnation.
what do you say, carnations or roses?
Okay, I think roses.
Okay,
What about you?
I like both of them.
I think
So,
I follow more on the like sunflowers and daisies, like that, those kind of flowers.
okay, so
So would that be considered carnations?
that's no, but that's okay. I
Okay.
just thought of it.
What about okay, movies, a rom-com or a crime?
I
I
have
guess
to go with
crime/thriller.
crime/thriller.
Yeah, that's you.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's the weirdest movie you've seen lately?
The substance.
Oh yeah, with
I mean,
Demi Moore.
yeah, Demi Moore. I
I
mean,
didn't see it.
I think she's up for an Oscar for it, but
Hmm.
I mean, it was good, but it was weird. It was,
Hmm.
so I'd say that's the because we just watched it the other night. So
There's another show that I was told about that's apparently a thriller. It's on Netflix and it's oh my gosh, it's set in Italy. Someone told me about it.
is it The Covenant? Is it the
No,
one with the?
hold on, I'm about to look it up.
Okay, all right.
And meanwhile, think of another question.
Okay, basketball or football to watch?
Basketball.
All right.
I am not a oh man, I don't know if anybody knows what I'm talking about. It's a Netflix. I did not personally watch it, but someone was like, "Oh, you have to watch it." It's set in Italy. It's in black and white, but it's a show, and I guess it's like a thriller
Huh.
crime or something like that. Now it's gonna drive me insane what that is.
Well, if
But
anybody likes historical, because I just finished The Tudors for the second time.
not the second time. You've
I
seen
love
that thing like
I love
five
that, but I just
times.
love that historical time
Okay,
period.
that's a good question. What's the show that you've seen the most again and again of?
Um, okay, I don't even know if I want to admit this. I guess it has to do with Betty Broderick, and it's on Netflix. It's the Dirty John series. Betty Broderick killed her husband Dan Broderick, and they very famous couple in California. And I just keep thinking, okay, it's gonna have a different outcome.
You've
I just
seen it over and over?
I have seen it over because I just go, man, could
More
she
than the
just
Tudors?
more than the Tudors? It's shorter,
Oh.
yeah.
I will
But
say I think mine's Gilmore Girls. I almost watch that almost every single fall.
yeah. So
Just comes around the something the
there's just something.
whatever it is. Whatever.
I'm sure the listeners, we've probably lost them by now because they're like, maybe they
That's
should
fair.
drop a hot seat question for us. So
All right. Well, we will end it there. But as always, please comment, like, review, share with another mom if
and
you
download.
and download if you feel that this maybe resonated with you or it's going to resonate with someone else or inspire someone and just follow us on all the social medias and
Hit that subscribe.
hit that subscribe. We'll leave the links that we talked about below for the tools and oh yeah, next time um I think next time we're going to talk about real estate. So
Real estate investing, yes.
this will be like a real estate episode, but it'll be really good. We're going to break it up into two episodes, so it won't be like too much on your brain. But the first episode, we'll talk about just kind of the basic tips on how to get into real estate, talk more about money making mamas, things like that. I think it'll be a really good episode for people to listen to because what's the number one thing we hear?
How to get invested, how to start investing in real
No,
estate.
not even that. We hear, I don't have enough
Oh,
cash.
I don't have enough
I
cash. I
don't
got
have
bad
bad
credit.
credit.
I don't have enough money.
So what we'll do is we'll debunk a lot of like myths and kind of tell
Yes.
the outcomes of, those and what those look like. And then again, the best real estate investing tips. So
And if they
tune
want
in.
a head start, they could go to our website, Money Making Mamas, and watch our Millionaire Mama Masterclass.
Yep.
I
Yep.
mean, we're going to be talking about some of that too. So, but yeah, I'm excited.
So
'Cause
yeah,
it's kind of, I could talk about real estate all day. So, okay, finally, episode 6.
so tune in next week and thank you so much for tuning in this week.
Thanks. All right. See you. Oh, wait. Cheers.
Cheers.
Love you.
Love you.